Can you briefly introduce Godrej Interio's healthcare business?
So Godrej Interio is a part of the Godrej Boyce manufacturing company. It's a large conglomerate and it is one of the largest divisions of this organization. We are the leaders in the category of furniture for both homes and offices. Couple of years ago, we also increased our focus and introduced the healthcare furniture, which was more dedicated to the medical fraternity and the healthcare segment at large.
What are the major challenges that the company faced in the healthcare segment?
So one challenge was that we were not into this segment, and as a result of that, the buying method of this segment, which is based on references, was something which we were finding as an obstacle. The second one was that competition being well entrenched in some of the large accounts, it was initially difficult to basically get the value propositions communicated. And the third challenge also was that our sales teams were not as geared to cater to the requirements of this segment as they were to the other segments of institutions and homes. So it actually reflected in terms of the sales not really growing. So we were not getting the type of growth which we were desiring. We were growing, but it was by about 7-8% over a small base. And our market share also continued to remain low in the range of about 5%.
You mentioned that the customers in this segment are different. Can you elaborate a bit on this?
So what we have realized is that in this segment, the customer treats this as a very critical equipment. So furniture in any case is critical, but what happens is that in case of healthcare specifically, the beds is where the patients get treated. So in case there is any issue with the bed, there is a loss of opportunity to treat the patient and also a loss of revenue. So this is something which makes the criticality of the equipment in that setup very high. The other thing which we found different in this particular segment was that our sales team is required to conduct multiple meetings. The main reason for this is that there are varied stakeholders.
What was the challenge that was faced by the sales team?
They were unable to dedicate their time and attention for business development because a lot of their time was getting spent in servicing the existing orders of the customers. The other challenge which was being faced was the sales people were responsible for both the revenue and business development. So their focus was more on short-term sales rather than developing accounts for the future. So an outcome of all this was that the sales team was entering at a later stage, and hence it was then becoming more a question of commercial negotiations, quick deliveries, rather than shaping the requirements of the customers. So as a result of this, the inquiry conversion was low, and the percentage of inquiries which we were getting also were not actually coming at good realizations.
What was the direction of solution that was adopted?
The crux of the problem, as we actually could clearly identify when we decided to launch this particular project, was that we need to make the bandwidth of the salespeople free for them to do the developmental work with clients. So what we did was that we actually reduced their bandwidth from the existing servicing of the accounts and focused their energy more on generating the new requirements.
If the sales team's focus was shifted to business development, how did the needs of existing clients get catered to?
So the servicing of the existing client was in a very interesting solution, changed, and it was made centralized. So we had a small pool of centralized resources which were then dedicated to servicing the requirements of the client. In effect, it created a win-win. The existing clients also felt happy that their requirements were being catered to in a more focused and an agile manner. And at the same time, the new clients we could give attention to, and that is how the business started growing.
Has the approach to business development changed as well?
Yeah, so in fact, we had clearly stage gated the entire process of business development, and each stage was getting tracked. That what were the leads, what was the conversion, how the servicing was happening, all these stages were getting tracked.
Was there a resistance to this new way of working?
So initially there was some resistance because at the end of the day, sales by definition, I have also been in sales, we don't like to be governed. Okay, so from that perspective, the feeling was that this is kind of a much more active monitoring. But as the sales team started seeing the benefits, that how this monitoring was actually to support them in a more structured manner to approach the customers and get business, and in fact keep giving them more and more business, they started feeling happy about it, and then the adoption ramped up.
So overall, what were the benefits realized?
So as a result of this particular project and the exercise, there was a sharp jump in terms of the new accounts from where the business started coming. There was also an improvement in the replacement business and repeat orders which were coming from the same customers because they were getting happy with the kind of service levels which were being delivered. And overall, we saw a significant improvement in the business. So the business started jumping at a much faster pace, and naturally it started translating into a higher market share.